Hello again, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC, and we're just going to kind of go all over the place. This is going to kind of be a little bit of a mix between the daily headlines and kind of a rural talk. So just bear with me as we just go all over the place. Now, I didn't do a headlines one yesterday just because there was a lot that went on, and every time that I was starting to do something, something else would go, and I just decided to hold off because I didn't want to put out information that by the time it got out, it was going to be old news and things like that. So for now, to kind of get caught up, there's a lot heating up overseas, and as of kind of yesterday to early this morning, you have the US, Germany, France, UK, India, and Russia have all put on travel warnings, advisories to basically the entire Middle East. Now, you've got a bunch of people providing their own intel, making up their own stories and rumors, saying through a back channel or through a source, this is happening and this is happening and whatnot. So I've been trying to last night and this morning go through and figure out what's really going on over here. Now, it was last night. Hezbollah did end. They fired 50 rockets from Lebanon toward northern Israel. There is video confirmation of that as the Iron Dome went to work, repelling pretty much a good number of those rockets. That seemed to spark the U.S. military. So it looks like we actually started transferring additional forces over to the Middle East. There's a lot of troop movement, military hardware movement, asset movement, and things like that. And so it kind of looks like, at least on the surface level, that things are heating up a little bit. Now, it seems, though, that U.S. officials want to add to it. uh, Now, according to last night from ABC News, they said they were quoting two U.S. officials that Iran has readied more than 100 cruise missiles and various other drones and attack pieces for a possible strike. Now, everybody kept saying that last night it was going to do it. It's imminent. It's going to happen. Well, last night came and went and nothing. Okay. So it's kind of that whole, definitely something seems to be going. We just got to try and figure out when. Now, the thing is when you're into this, you're probably not going to know the exact moment until it starts to happen. So everybody's kind of just guessing, especially you and me. We're not military. We're not getting intel live satellite feed and boots on the ground intelligence. We are basically, getting secondhand knowledge whenever it comes out on some sort of social media. So we're just trying to do our best to sift through that and figure it out. Now, there was confirmation that the U.S. has transferred 12 F-15 fighters over to the Middle East, as well as some tanker units. Um, there is a lot. So last night, one of the things that I think started the rumor is that Air Force Two was on its way to California, and it started to do a really weird pattern. So instead of going there and landing, it actually kind of veered, maneuvered, and kind of did some squigglies over top of California. Uh, and so everybody kind of went, okay, if you're trying to keep your VP airborne, what's going on? Now, there was a lot of really odd air traffic over top of the United States last night. There was a lot of uh, holes, if you will, in air traffic over different places. And so it kind of sparked a lot. Now, the Iranians did take over a container ship. Now, I'll let other people go through and provide all the details on that. Uh, but it's one of those ones. You have half the people that were going, okay, was that it? Is this Iran's whole retaliation? They took over one single container ship versus the other side's laughing, going, they put so much pressure on we're going here, that nobody looked over in the other direction on the water, and so they just easy pickings, right? So that did happen. Now there's a lot of U.S. officials as well as the resident in chief that said that they must immediately give that. So we'll see what kind of comes of that. A couple of side notes: there was a 18-wheeler in Texas that decided to go a little off road, and they ended up trying to crash, or I think they maybe even successfully crashed into the Department of Public Safety office. Um, it looks like it was all over a denial of the person's CDL license. I'm not entirely sure what's kind of going out about that, but there was some injuries and whatnot, um, as well as there was a mass stabbing, I guess is what you can call it. This happened in Sydney, Australia. There is, I believe, the count last I saw was about 4 dead and several injured. Um, it's kind of odd on the people involved in that, but again, I'm gonna sit back and wait until the full details come out of that. Um, I did uh, kind of follow through. I was going to post a few things. I was going to add some pictures and whatnot, but again, I'm kind of dialing back just a little bit. I don't want to be the first to something, because usually the people that are first are often wrong. They're just trying to get things out there, and so I'm trying to step back just a hair here. Now, one of the big things is with all this heating up and with the U.S. Fully coming out and saying publicly that they are, fully committed to help Israel. I really think that Taiwan is really watching close to see just how much help Israel's going to get. We went through and we said we were going to do everything we could for Ukraine, and all the money and everything seems to be held up in Congress. So when this goes, you know, I believe Taiwan's really going to take it into an account. If we botch this up, if Iran attacks and we really don't do anything about it, is that going to be Taiwan's signal of, you know what, maybe this isn't such a good idea. We don't really have the help that we thought we was going to have. Now, um, oh, another side note, there was a incident on the Ohio River. It looks like about 25, 26 barges broke loose of their tug. It went and it's basically shutting down a bunch of bridges out of fear of something happening, of an incident. This happened over kind of in the Pennsylvania area, and it's basically halting a lot of traffic. So we'll hopefully be able to follow up on that, and hopefully nothing comes out of that. Now, again, with all the things that's going on, there was the announcement made not very long ago that the resident in chief has interrupted his day off and has urgently returned to the White House to consult with security teams. So, okay, it's another signal that, something seems to be going on. Well, it wasn't very long after that that the Cyber Avengers, we've talked about them before, posted a message that said, "Good night, Tel Aviv." And then widespread power outages started happening all over Israel. So it looks like, you're getting some cyber areas into this. Then it didn't stop there. So there was now a cyber attack that went and started to affect the Iranian sites, one of which went through and started to call on all residents of Tehran to urgently stock up on food and water in preparation for war. So, you're getting a lot of this fifth generation warfare. Now, another clue is that Israel has made the announcement that they want to be the country to be on full alert. And starting immediately, this was put out by their defense minister that they are closing down beaches. They are closing down all educational facilities. So there is no schools and things like that. They are limiting. I saw the first one come out saying no more than 1,000 people. Then I saw it drop down to 100 people. And then they're saying that if it's a dangerous area, they don't want more than 30 people gathered together. So they're really kind of focused. Now, there is a bunch of places that is basically closing down a lot of their airspace. There's a lot of places that are saying you cannot use our airspace for military purposes. There's a lot of places that have canceled commercial and other airlines to the Middle East. So we'll have to wait and see what comes out about all of that. Now, when kind of all this was going on last night, I did find it very interesting that Russia decided that it was a great time to test launch ICBM. Uh, Usually you make that announcement, and because apparently they did not make that announcement, there was a ton of people that had no idea what in the world was streaking across the sky. So I'm sure that was done for a legitimate reason of the timing and everything. Now, we'll have to wait and see what actually turns out about this. It seems like the big news. Now, remember, for the past, what, 2 weeks ish, somewhere around in there, that everybody has been saying the attack is imminent, 24 to 48 hours. Well, we're what, 2 weeks, plus from that, and nothing. Okay. So everybody is now jumping to a different one. Everybody is saying early Sunday morning. Now, by the time that this video gets released, it'll probably be somewhere between 10 p.m. To maybe midnight over in Israel. So you won't have to wait long to see if that pans out to be true. By the time that this video releases, it'll probably be 10 to 12 hours and then morning will be over. So there's a lot of signs pointing. Okay, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of people that is showing movement on both sides. So it's going to be an interesting weekend to say the least. Now, is anything going to happen? I don't know. Is something, likely to happen? Well, it very well could. Am I saying that the sky is falling and rush and panic? No. It's not that. It's not time to uh, circle the wagons and jump in the bunker and things like that, at least in my opinion. Now, can you take this and do something? Absolutely. Okay. It is Saturday. That means that, we're kind of halfway through the weekend. So you have the rest of today and all of tomorrow for a lot of people that have the weekends off to do something. Grab a little bit of extra water, grab a little extra supplies, make sure that you have your medical, make sure you have, different things that you could possibly need. If you're a little low, here's a great kind of, I won't say excuse, but a great reason to go and grab a couple of extra things. Now, should you go and put it on your credit card? Probably not a good idea. Should you empty out your 401k? Should you go in debt? Should you beg, borrow, pawn things? No, this is not that time. Again, in my opinion, could something kick off tomorrow? Yeah, something could be kicking off right now while you're watching this. That's the nature of the world at the moment. Which brings me, and I think this is going to be fun because I think this is going to be the third or fourth time that I use this. So in the movie of the original 1994 Jurassic Park, after all the kind of thing goes and you're kind of in that mid-movie lull, you have the owner of the park as well as the female archaeologist, or I think was she a paleontologist, something like that. They were both sitting there around the table eating ice cream as they were kind of just talking back and forth. And he looks at her and says, "When we have control again," and she quickly interrupts him and saying, "You never had control. It's all an illusion." And that's the problem. Nothing matters except for the people that we love. Okay. That speaks a lot. Okay. Now, granted, at the time of the movie, we're talking about the movie. Pull that into perspective, kind of speaks a little bit because when it comes to this, when you have something like government or even work or school, you have a thing called laws or rules or regulations. The thing is it's all an illusion. There's nothing that stops you from doing anything they tell you not to do or to not do what they tell you to do. There's nothing that stops that. The only thing is it is two things. Either A, it is scared for the repercussions of you breaking that law or rule, or two, it's just a mutual thing. Okay, I agree with it. You know, stealing's bad. I don't want somebody to steal from me, so I agree that stealing is bad. And so, yeah, I'm not going to steal because, I agree with the law. Okay, so there's kind of the two things. Now, you're starting to get a lot of these people because now here goes into the opinion side. When we have stopped disciplining kids and start doing the participation trophies, everybody's a winner, uh, you know, all of that nonsense. Then you start getting into the whole thing of without any sort of repercussion. So instead of um, the 5-year-old gets up and slaps mom across the face, well, what? Don't do that. Go stand in the corner. Okay, there's no repercussion for it. So what do I care? There's a bunch of these, younger generation. I'm not picking on them, okay? I'm just saying overall, when you have that sort of a thing, then you start creating your own crisis because honestly, if you're raised like that, you don't know any better, okay? And so if I want something, I want it. There is no, you are raised that if you want something, you work hard and you go earn it. You are raised that you whine and flop down on the floor and you cause a scene and you get whatever you want. How long until we go into the world leaders do that? You know, all these elected and unelected people that make our rules and laws, that enforce our rules and laws, that they go, I'm going to make this nonsense rule. And people kind of go, no, that's not a good idea. And they whine and flop on the floor and do whatever. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see your point. Okay, let's go ahead and do that for you. And then the rest of us have to suddenly abide by that. So there's another quote, and I kind of saw this pop up maybe a week or so ago. And it's a quote, I believe, by Benjamin Franklin. And I'm going to try not to butcher it, but it's basically the what did we do? Security without freedom. Or I believe it's security without liberty. It's called prison. And I think that goes into a lot of this too. There's so many people that are willing because of being scared to not stand up for themselves, to never have had the fortunate or unfortunate of ever been punched, sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes, you run your mouth or you don't think things through and you say something stupid and you get popped one. It's a quick, hard earned lesson that usually sticks with you. And so there's a lot of people that they've never experienced that. So they don't know about that. And the internet makes it worse because I can sit behind a keyboard and I can keyboard warrior whatever I want because you don't know who I am and you can't come find me to do anything about it. And so I have no fear. Well, there's still a lot of problems with that. especially in SHTF. When something like that happens and it's going to, let's say, affect the power grid or the internet or something along those lines, where you take these people that don't know how to interact into society, suddenly they're thrown into society and they don't know any better but to keyboard warrior out their mouth. Okay. And how are you going to deal with that? There's a lot that I think that people don't take into consideration. I think there's a lot of ugly truths that still need to be talked about. And so we will continue to talk about those ugly truths and some of those hard topics that, make people uncomfortable to talk about. And so it goes into a lot of the things of the people that want to lone wolf SHTF with the people that go, well, when this happens, I'm just going to circle the wagons and shut the compound down and that's it. Well, there's still a slight problem with that because if you're doing the no one in or no one out, what kind of life is that? Okay. All you're doing is you made your own prison. If you're not interacting with anybody other than who it is, it's a prison. You know, nobody in or out, it's prison. And so I want people to remember humanity has to survive. Yes, there may be some points where you have to make that judgment call. Yes, there may be times where you have to go, listen, we've got to shut this down for a week or 2 weeks or whatever temporarily. But overall, at some point in time, somebody's got to make that decision to where humanity overrides it all, that we don't lose ourselves. Otherwise, again, what is the point of surviving? What are we fighting for? What is the purpose? If all we're going to do is just wait for the balloon to go up so we have that excuse to pop a few off and become, the things that we're all complaining about. Well, I'm going to be the next, whatever. What do you want to call it? Some sort of oh, there's a term for it and it's just slipped my mind. Like a warlord or something like that. You're going to be the territorial leader or something. Um, it's I think there's a lot of people that they have a false sense of security. I think there's a lot of people that are wishing on something that they know nothing, like absolutely nothing about. I think there's going to be some really hard uh, things that's going to be, again, it's going to be something that smacks you in the mouth that you're just going to have to end up learning the hard way. And the thing is to have that where you are going to be sitting somewhere hungry and cold and you're thinking back going, yeah, that was a dumb choice. Or, man, I really wish I could go back. Or, was any of this worth this? I've read a lot of comments. I like to just get into different forums and just read what people have to say. And there's a lot of people that think that some sort of civil war is a reset button, that it's absolutely necessary. Now, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. Okay, that's up to you to decide. My thing is to sit there and watch their reasoning. Well, if we do this, then, a year, 18 months, 2 years tops, life will be grand. Where did you get that from? Uh, Show me, anywhere that has a civil war or has some sort of internal conflict that in a very short period of time that they're the top of the food chain and everybody is great. Usually that takes years, if not a generation or two at the minimum to recover. And a lot of these countries don't recover from that. So, for all those, be careful what you wish for because it's not going to be pretty. It's going to more than likely be agonizing. It's going to be painful. There's going to be excruciating times. There's going to be a lot of sadness. There's going to be a lot of heartbroken feelings, a lot of sleepless nights. There's going to be a lot of negative. This is not a video game. This is not something that anybody on the planet should wish for at all, whatsoever. Do we need change? Yeah. If something happens, I mean, it's going to happen. It is. And that's kind of what you prepare for. You hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I just don't want to see anybody that thinks that they can buy their way into survival. I don't want to see anybody think that they can have enough food or water to beat out survival, or that they're tactically going to just go around and survive. You have to have a mixture of a ton of things. You have to be able to be a leader. You have to be able to be a follower. You have to know medical. You have to know everything there is to know about food. You have to know how to get it and grow it and process it and hunt it and track it and how to mix ingredients, how to make raw ingredients, how to cook things and various things. What can you eat raw? What can't you? Identifying plants. Uh, there's a lot. You have to know how to communicate with other people. You have to know how to read other people. You have to be able to get along with all sorts of different personalities. You have to know animals, what's edible, what's not, what's friendly, what's not, what's a disease, what's something that you should stay away from. What can you maybe scrap and hold on to, because the best refrigerator and a grid down is keep the animal alive. So I went way longer than I wanted to. I still have a ton of things I want to say, but we're going to cut it here. So if you made it to this far in the video, you rock. I appreciate you for spending this long with me. There might be a part two, or maybe I'll just wait till tomorrow. But with that, I want to bid you all a great day. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. God bless each and every one of you. Stay safe this weekend. And above all else, please remember to remain united, because we're all prepping in this together.